Gather close, my dears, because what I'm about to tell you will send shivers down your spine. Imagine, for a moment, the unthinkable. Your own daughter, the one you've loved and raised, shoving you off a balcony just to silence you. It sounds impossible, doesn't it? But it happened to me and my husband. One minute, we were sitting peacefully, and the next, we were falling toward what we thought would be our death. But in that final moment, my husband whispered something that would flip everything on its head. Pretend we're dead. And that's when I realized the secret we were about to stumble on was more twisted than we could have ever guessed. So, how could a mother say that? How could a daughter do that? Trust me, I didn't believe it either, but this is the truth, and you need to hear it.
Well, 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 my dears, you found your way here to the right place. Welcome to Voices of Granny Tina. Now, you might be asking yourself, why should I listen to an old woman like me? Well, let me tell you something. My years have taught me more than most people ever get to learn in a lifetime. And I'm here to share what I know. The good, the bad, and the ugly. You see, family isn't always what it seems. We think we know the ones closest to us, but sometimes they can surprise you in ways you never expected, and not always in a good way. I learned that lesson the hard way. Not too long ago, my husband and I thought everything was just fine. We thought our daughter was just going through a phase. But when the truth hit, we realized how wrong we were. It started like any other day. We were sitting on the balcony, talking about nothing in particular. Our daughter was there, smiling, just like she always did. But there was something different in the air that day. I didn't see it then, but now, looking back, I should have. The tension, the little signs, it was all there. I just didn't know better. And then, just like that, our lives changed forever. We went from sitting together to falling toward what we thought would be our end. I can still feel the rush of air, the ground coming at us faster than we could catch our breath. But what really sticks with me isn't the fall itself. No, it's the look in her eyes, the coldness, like a stranger looking back at me, like we didn't matter.
You might be asking, how could she do that? How could a daughter betray her parents like that? Believe me, I asked myself the same thing. Over and over, I wondered what went wrong. But you see, people aren't always who you think they are. Sometimes, the ones you trust the most have their reasons, and those reasons can break you. I thought I knew our daughter. I thought I could protect us, protect myself. But that day taught me something I'll never forget. When it's survival or nothing, sometimes you gotta do things you never thought you could. Now, I'm not here to sugarcoat things. The truth, my dears, is often harder to face than we want it to be. But if you take the time to listen, I promise you'll be better off for it. So here's what I want you to do. Grab yourself a glass of wine, sit back, and take a seat. Get comfortable, because the road we're about to walk down, it's not an easy one. And I'm going to need you to stick with me until the very end. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. Go ahead and hit that button, and let's dive into this story together. You won't regret it. It was supposed to be a perfect family, my dears. Me and my husband, our firstborn daughter, Marissa, we had everything we needed. We thought we knew her inside and out. After all, she was our first. She was the one who made us parents, and for a while, it seemed like she was everything we had dreamed of. Always sweet, always clever, with a smile that could light up any room. But there was always something about her, something I couldn't quite place, that seemed a little off. Something in her eyes that didn't match the joy she showed to the world. I wish I had known then what I know now. Our home was our sanctuary, a place where we built memories. The house had this big balcony overlooking the quiet neighborhood, the kind of view that made you just want to sit and breathe it all in. It became our spot, my husband and I, to unwind after a long day. We'd sit there in the evenings with a glass of wine, watching the sun dip behind the trees, talking about everything and nothing at all. Our daughter, when she was younger, would run around the yard, laughing, telling us about her day, sometimes coming up to join us on the balcony. Life felt simple, peaceful. I thought we had all the time in the world to fix anything that came our way. But time, well, time's a funny thing. It doesn't wait for you to catch up. By the time Marissa hit her 30s, she was married with 2 kids of her own, a family she had built with her husband, Greg. Now, Greg was a good man, quiet, steady. He worked long hours as a mechanic at a car dealership, but he was always there when it mattered. He loved Marissa, and he loved those kids. I saw that. But I also saw something changing in Marissa that I didn't understand. I didn't know what to call it, but it was there. Something was different.
At 39, Marissa had built a life for herself that seemed to be everything a woman could want. A husband, children, a home. But as much as I tried to push the thought aside, I couldn't ignore the distance that had been growing between us. She wasn't the same. She'd always been a bit distant, even when she was younger. But now it was different. There was a wall between us, one that seemed to grow taller every year. And I could feel it, even if I couldn't name it. I began to wonder, had we made mistakes raising her? Had we somehow failed her along the way? There was a time when we were closer, when she would confide in me, tell me about her dreams, her struggles. But as she grew older, it felt like she was carrying a hurt that she never spoke about. There were moments when she'd come home from work or visit, when she'd just sit there, quiet, distant, looking out the window like the world was spinning and she was just caught in the middle. I knew something wasn't right, but she wouldn't say. And what made it worse, dears, was that Greg didn't seem to notice. He was always too focused on the kids and his work. I guess that's what a lot of husbands do, don't they? But I could see it in her eyes, the way she would avoid looking at me like she was hiding something that no one could see. I didn't know how to help her. I didn't even know what to ask.
I didn't know that what we were seeing wasn't just normal life getting in the way. It was a pain, an old wound that had been festering for years, a hurt that started long before she even met Greg, a hurt from when she was a child, from things we did without even knowing how much it affected her. You see, we loved her, but we also tried to control her, to protect her in ways that suffocated her. We thought we were doing the right thing, but in doing so, we made her feel trapped, like her choices didn't matter. And when she tried to break free, when she tried to make her own decisions, we didn't always let her. Maybe we thought we were keeping her safe, but looking back, I see we were building walls she couldn't break down. As Marissa got older, she started to meet people, friends who didn't care about the rules we had set, who didn't care about the way we had raised her. These were people who had been through their own struggles, their own heartbreaks. And they showed her a different way to live, a way that didn't rely on family, on love, on connection. They hardened her, built walls around her heart, walls she didn't let anyone inside. And I don't think Greg understood the full weight of it. He loved her, yes, but love doesn't always heal wounds that you can't see. Marissa, you see, started to believe that the world wasn't a place for softness. It wasn't a place where vulnerability could thrive. The friends she made, their influence, it wasn't the kind of influence I would have ever wanted for her. They taught her to close herself off, to keep her hurt hidden deep inside, to push people away before they had the chance to hurt her first. And in doing that, they made her harder. She stopped showing the warmth she once had. She stopped trusting the way she used to. It wasn't just her marriage that suffered, but everything around her. Her relationships with the kids, with me, with herself. Looking back now, I see that the pieces were all there. She was carrying so much inside, so many years of hurt, and yet she never spoke a word of it. Not to me, not to anyone. She buried it behind this new persona she had created for herself. A persona that looked like everything was fine on the outside, but inside she was falling apart. And the saddest part of it all was that I had no idea how to reach her. I didn't know how to help her carrying the weight she had been carrying for so long. The day it happened, everything felt normal. Too normal, if I'm being honest. It was the weekend of our wedding anniversary. 42 years, Carl and me. It's a long time, you know? When you've been married that long, you don't just celebrate the day you met, you celebrate all the little things that held you together, through all the trials and triumphs. And I was looking forward to spending the weekend with Carl, just the two of us, remembering how far we'd come. Carl's a good man, always has been. We don't need a whole lot of anything, just a little quiet time, a few laughs, and our favorite meals. We'd planned a nice dinner that night, but before we could get to it, we got a call from Marissa. Now, we hadn't heard from her in a couple of weeks, so when the phone rang, I was happy to see her name light up the screen. She sounded cheerful on the phone. "Hey, Num. Hey, Dad. I was thinking about you, too. I want to come spend the weekend with you. I know it's your anniversary, and I thought it would be nice to catch up." At first, it seemed like any other call, you know? She sounded like her usual self. She even joked about how busy life had been, how she'd been juggling the kids and work. We hadn't seen her in a while, and hearing her voice felt comforting. I didn't think twice about it. I said, "Of course, come on over." Carl smiled at me, happy to have Marissa joining us. It's been a while since the three of us had time to just sit together. He'd always loved those quiet moments when we could talk about anything or nothing at all. But when Marissa said she'd be coming over, something in the back of my mind stirred, though I didn't know why. She arrived in the afternoon. The sun was still shining bright, and Carl and I were on the balcony, just enjoying the peaceful air. When she walked in, she seemed fine, nothing unusual. She had a smile on her face, and though she was a little quieter than usual, I figured it was just her being tired from work. You know how it is when you've got 2 kids and a busy life. Still, I couldn't shake that nagging feeling that something wasn't quite right, but I didn't say anything. She sat down beside us, and we talked about the old days, about how Carl and I met, the crazy things we did when we were younger. Marissa laughed along with us, but there was something about her laugh that didn't quite reach her eyes. I noticed it more as we sat there, her gaze drifting a little too often to the street below, her fingers drumming lightly on the armrest of the chair. She seemed restless. But like I said, it was our anniversary weekend, and I didn't want to dwell on it. I thought maybe she was just tired or had too much on her mind. So we had dinner, we ate her favorite meal, and for a moment, everything felt like it was back to normal. She didn't say much during dinner, but she looked content. The kids were at their dad's, so we had some peace and quiet to ourselves.
The sun began to set, and we decided to sit out on the balcony again, just the three of us. The breeze was warm, the sky painted with that soft orange glow you only get in the evening. Carl and I shared a glass of wine, and Marissa sat across from us. I could see her fidgeting a little, shifting in her chair, glancing at the door like she was waiting for something, waiting for someone. It was at that moment, while we were enjoying the piece, that everything changed. 1 second, we were all sitting there laughing about something Carl had said, and the next, Marissa stood up, suddenly. She didn't say anything, just stood, like she was lost in thought. I thought maybe she needed a moment, But then, without warning, she walked towards the railing. I couldn't quite place it, but there was something unsettling about her movements. She didn't even look back at us as she reached the edge of the balcony. She just stood there, staring down at the neighborhood below. I was about to ask her if she was okay, but before I could even speak, she turned around. And when I looked at her face, I felt this chill, like a cold wind had rushed through the room. Her eyes, they weren't the eyes of my daughter. There was something in them that I can't even describe, something that didn't belong. It was like I was looking at a stranger. I couldn't process it right away, and before I could even ask her what was wrong, she did the unthinkable. Without saying a word, she shoved us both. 1 second, we were sitting there, and the next, we were falling. I don't remember much except the wind rushing past, my heart racing, the fear building in my chest. I felt the air beneath me, the ground rushing up too fast, and I thought, this is it. This is how it ends. But in that split second, Carl's voice cut through the panic. "Pretend we're dead," he whispered. I didn't understand what he meant. Why would he say that? Why would he want us to pretend to be dead? But then, like a switch flipped, it hit me. He wasn't just trying to protect us. He was trying to survive. He knew something I didn't. Something deep down told him that if we didn't play along, if we didn't act like we were already gone, there would be no chance of making it out. And so, we went limp. We lay there as still as we could manage, waiting for her to leave us alone. I didn't know what was going through Marissa's mind in that moment, what she thought she was doing, but Carl and I, well, we had to act, and we had to act fast. I couldn't believe what had just happened, but I knew one thing. If we wanted any chance of survival, we had to trust Carl's instincts. And so we played dead, not knowing what would happen next or whether we'd ever get out of this alive.
When I think about what led to the moment when Marissa pushed us, it wasn't just the love we gave Marcus. No, it was more than that. It wasn't just the years of feeling left behind, of not being seen the way she wanted. It was the way we treated him differently, the way we showed him that somehow he mattered more. I know it sounds harsh, but it's the truth. You see, when Carl and I decided to give Marcus a chance at a better life, we also made decisions that Marissa never understood. And I think that's where the rift really started. We gave Marcus 70% of everything we had, our possessions, the business, everything, and we gave Marissa 30%. I know, it sounds like a lot to handle, but the truth is, we felt that Marcus deserved it. He was so close to the family business, he showed interest, he was involved in everything Carl and I built together. Now, don't get me wrong, Marissa wasn't lazy. No, she had her own career, her own life, but she was never interested in the family business. She didn't want to learn about the work Carl and I had spent our lives building, and we understood that. It's not for everyone. But Marcus, he was there, helping Carl after school, showing interest in the way the business ran, asking questions, taking on more responsibility as he got older. And that's when it hit us. We saw in Marcus the same passion we had when we started. He wanted it, and we felt he deserved it. Marissa, on the other hand, showed no interest in the family business. She never wanted to learn the ropes, never wanted to help with the decisions we were making. She was content with her life, her job, her family.
but she didn't want to get involved in what Carl and I had spent our lives working for. She told us time and time again that she had her own life, her own path, and that she wasn't interested in carrying on the legacy. But for us, it felt like a rejection of what we valued most. We thought we were doing the right thing by passing on the business to Marcus, but we didn't realize how deeply it hurt her, how she felt like she was being excluded from something that meant so much to us.
I remember when we told Marissa about the decision to leave Marcus the larger share. It wasn't something we talked about lightly. Carl and I were honest with her, but I could see the disappointment in her eyes. She said nothing at the time, just nodded and went on with her life. But I knew she was hurt, even if she never said it. I knew she felt overlooked, like we had chosen Marcus over her. And that wasn't the only thing. The house we lived in, the family estate, was going to Marcus too. We felt it was only right that he be the one to carry it forward. Marissa, she didn't care about the property, but she did care about the principle. She felt like she was being sidelined, and no matter how much we tried to explain, it never seemed to make sense to her. I remember a conversation I had with her one night after Marcus had started taking more of an active role in the business. She asked me, point blank, why him? Why not me? I tried to explain that we were only trying to give him a chance, that we didn't want to push her into something she wasn't interested in. But she couldn't hear it. She said, "You've always loved him more. You've always given him more." And that's when I knew. That's when I saw the depth of her pain. She felt like we had chosen him, like we were pushing her away, even when all we had ever done was love her. It wasn't just the business, you see. It wasn't just the money or the property. It was the feeling of being replaced, of feeling like she was no longer the center of our world. She couldn't accept the fact that Marcus had become so important to us, and in her eyes, he had everything she wanted. The love, the attention, the business, the legacy. And that's what hurt her most. She didn't care about the money. It wasn't about that. It was about what we had given him, what we had trusted him with, and what she felt was slipping away from her. I didn't understand it. Not then. I thought we were just doing what was best, giving Marcus the chance to take over what we'd worked for. But in Marissa's mind, it wasn't about opportunity. It was about us choosing him over her. It was about us not seeing her the way we had seen him. And that resentment built up quietly until it reached a point where she couldn't take it anymore. The truth is, we didn't mean to hurt her. We never meant to make her feel like she didn't matter, but that's the way she saw it. And when she realized that we were getting too close to understanding how deeply her pain ran, when she saw us beginning to understand that it wasn't just about the business or the money, she did what she did. She pushed us. She wanted us to feel the weight of her hurt. She wanted to make us understand, in the most extreme way possible, how much she had suffered from feeling left behind, from feeling like we had replaced her with Marcus.
Looking back, I can see it now, clear as day. We loved Marcus, yes, but it wasn't because we didn't love Marissa. It wasn't about one child being better than the other. It was about Marissa feeling like she couldn't compete, like the love we gave her wasn't enough. And by the time I saw it, it was too late. The damage had been done, and the pain she carried had twisted everything. She couldn't let go of the hurt. She couldn't accept that we loved her just as much, even if we had given Marcus the business. In her eyes, he was the one who had won, and that was a truth she couldn't accept. You know, when you've been around as long as I have, you start to realize something. We always think we have time. Time to fix things, time to ask the right questions, time to do better. But let me tell you, time doesn't wait for nobody. It slips right through your fingers before you even realize it. If we had asked the right questions sooner, if we had really looked at what was happening, maybe, just maybe, we could have stopped her. But now there's no turning back. And it breaks my heart to say that. So I ask you this. How many times have you thought, I'll do it tomorrow? I'll call them next week. I'll ask how they're doing later. Time, my dears, is a tricky thing. It doesn't give you a warning when it's running out. If you've learned anything from this, it's this. Don't wait. Don't wait until it's too late. Don't wait until the hurt is so deep it can't be fixed. You need to act now.
You need to ask the hard questions now, the ones you've been avoiding. Because once that time has passed, there's no getting it back. If you believe it's time to make the hard calls, to ask the hard questions, to stop letting things slide, then don't wait. Act now. And if you want to hear the rest of this story, if you want to understand what happens when you let time slip through your fingers, then hit that subscribe button. You won't regret it. Trust me, you'll need to know what happens next. Don't let time slip away, because once it's gone, it's gone. We survived the fall by pretending to be dead, praying that Marissa would believe it. Can you imagine, dears, lying there, not knowing if she'd come over, if she'd check for signs of life, or if she'd leave us there to die? Every breath we held felt like an eternity. It was like the whole world had stopped spinning and all we could do was wait. Wait for her to decide whether we'd live or die. And let me tell you, there was no guarantee. Not then. I didn't know how long we'd have to lie there, holding our breath, listening to her footsteps on the floor as she'd checked for us. Every creak of the wood under her feet, every sound in the air made my heart race. We couldn't move, couldn't blink, couldn't even flinch. We had no choice but to outwit her. If she thought we were dead, if we could make her believe it, maybe, just maybe, she'd leave us alone. But I'm telling you, dears, there was so much more to the story than just that fall. After that moment, when we thought we'd lost everything, we uncovered more than we ever expected, more than I could ever share with you right now. There's still so much to tell. And let me tell you, when you hear the rest of the story, you won't be able to forget it.
You see, sometimes the truth is hidden in the most unexpected places, and it doesn't always show itself until you've been knocked down. But if you want to know how it all unravels, if you want to hear about everything that followed, everything we learned about our daughter, about ourselves, and about what she was hiding, you need to stick with me. I'm not done telling you this story yet, not by a long shot. If you've been listening, you know how much more there is to learn. And if you believe in facing the hard truths, in learning the lessons we should have known before, it's time to act. Hit that subscribe button. Don't wait. Don't let time slip away like we did. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. This is a story you'll never forget, and I promise you, you'll want to hear the rest. So go ahead, click that button, and stick with me. I'll be here to share it all, piece by piece, until you understand just how deep the roots of this family go.